All right, hello everybody. Today I have on my show Rikard Wallin. He's a vice president of NCAB Group, which is a manufacturing company in Sweden that manufactures PCBs. Today we're going to talk about designing for manufacture and the problems that you can run into when you design for manufacture, how you design for manufacture in a better way, how you can improve your designs, and we'll see where we end up. If you have any questions, you can always ask them in the chat, and I'll keep an eye on the chat and forward them to Rikard. So, Rikard, can you introduce yourself? Tell us what you do and what your role is in the company.
Yes, absolutely. So thanks for having me on your show. So hopefully you can hear me now.
Yes.
Yes. So yes, I'm Rikard Wallin. I'm the Vice President Nordics for NCAB Group. NCAB Group is a Swedish company since 25 years ago, with offices in 17 different countries, and we're present at 45 different markets. We are an integrated PCB producer, which means that we don't own the factories, what we do own the knowledge, and we have our own processes in all the factories we work, and we have our own staff in the factories as well. The majority of the world's PCBs are manufactured in Asia and China especially, and I have approximately 90 colleagues in China that are working every day with improving our products, improving our processes, and following it up and making sure that everyone gets as it's supposed to get. In the Nordics, we have office in all the Nordic countries. We have local staff, so we can speak and understand the local prerequisites and situation for different customers. We're in total around 450 employees in the world, and a turnover of $190 million for the group.
All right, so let's talk about design for manufacture. So you guys manufacture a lot of PCBs, so you have a lot of experience with different types of PCBs that people send to you for manufacture. What are some of the most common things that designers miss when they make the Gerber files and submit them for manufacture?
The most common mistake is that we lack information. So our experience is that 1/3 of all the design files, the Gerbers that we analyze, contains errors or lack of information. So not enough information for us to be able to code properly or to actually manufacture it according to expectations. So the standards through IPC are the general standard for the business, and many times people don't even refer to a standard, or they refer to a standard without entering enough data. So that's the common, actually basic mistake.
Okay, so what kind of information is it that you lack, that people miss to submit?
It could be anything. That could be really highs and lows. It could be that it's not specified materials or buildups, or actually it could be that it doesn't say number of layers, or that the specification from customer says it's a 4-layer board, but the attached file is for a 6-layer board. So a lot of mismatch between the Gerber files and the specification, or no kind of specification on material. Is it a metal-based board? Is it a standard board? So a lot of that data is when we miss data, it could be really basic.
So what type of if we do a list of all the things that should be included for making the process go really fast and streamlined, what would be on that list?
Oh, there's yeah, that could be a long list. We do have a template where we put in a lot of part of the specifications. I don't have it in front of me right now, but it's anything from what material to be used, what standards to be met, if it's class 2, class 3, if there is what drilling hole, drilling sizes, if it's a HDI board or a standard board, if it's a flex board, what type of material is expected, what kind of thicknesses, what kind of edging, plating, colors of the solder mask, approvals, many variations. The NCAB specification is on 100 points. It's a 40-page document on what we specify for our production. So we are very into the details on what we expect the factory to produce, and we try to get our customers to specify as much as possible as well. Not all of those 100 points, of course. A lot of it is just referring to standards, but more details than usual.
Thank you. I know from my own experience that reading the specifications for capabilities can include a lot of terms that you don't necessarily understand from the beginning. So when you first read it, a lot of different terms and standards pop out that you then have to look up and get a better reality on, so that you know what does it actually mean. And I think that that is an issue for a lot of other people as well, that they know that there is a standard and they maybe know what it's for, but they don't really understand what the standard implements, so they have to look it up. What do you think is the best place for people to get a general idea of the different standards and to be able to decide which standard to use? So for example, just deciding which type of material to use, that takes a lot of reading and really understanding the RF specifications of different materials, impedances, and designing the board from the start for that particular material. But where can people find more info? Is there a resource where they can look and just get all the answers?
It's a really good question, and actually that's one of the, I mean, I'm speaking in my own interest here, but that's one of the reasons to our success, is that our local presence is helping the designers to understand why different parameters are important. Because as you say, if you only read the IPC, that will make you a bit confused and hard to weigh the different specifications on each other. Is this important? Is this not important? Is it better for me with high layer count or more advanced technology, etc.? If you are, now I know this is in English, if the local Swedish branch or the Swedish Electronics Association have actually put up a handbook, which, if I've understood it right, is being translated into English as well. So for a Swedish-speaking person, there is a book that's free to download on Svenska Elektronik on their webpage. So that's a way to read yourself to it. But otherwise, I would suggest that you get in contact with your local kind of PCB support person and get some guidance, because there's a lot of data, there's a lot of standard, or not a lot of standards. I mean, the IPC is in one way pretty straightforward, but it has a lot of information that might not really be relevant or something that you know the details on. Why is this parameter important? What effect does it have? And there's, of course, I say that we want our customers to specify as much as possible, but there's a risk that you put a lot of effort in specifying things that's maybe too basic and not specifying what's really critical for your design. So on the NCAB webpage, you have design guidelines, for example, where you can get an overview over, we've actually divided them a little bit into standard and advanced type of designs to get. So when you look at it, you can say, okay, if I choose this specific hole diameter, I'm going into advanced technology, which means I have fewer factories that can do this in a good way. I have, it will have an impact on the price. And do I really need it? Maybe not. So it could help you kind of guiding if you, do you really need that small hole? No, I don't. Okay, so you can make your product cheaper and easier to manufacture by going up a size. And micro vias, there's a lot. So we have a number of design guidelines on our webpage. It's available for download. It's open information, but that's our way of supporting designers and to make the smart choices.
Do you want to share your screen? Can you do that right now?
Yes, I can, of course.
That's really good. We have to get the links gathered up for that book that you mentioned. I'm definitely going to check it out.
Yeah, you need to let me share my screen. Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. It's so weird. It's so weird because I'm not sharing my screen, and it says that only one person can share the screen. But like, I'm not sharing my screen.
Okay, but let me do.
But now you should be able to do it. Try now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Try again. Yeah. Okay. So on the let's see, this is the NCAB web page. Are you seeing my browser? Yes. So for the handbook, there's Smarter Electronic System. It's a Swedish initiative to actually support the Swedish electronics industry in general. Here you're able to download something called Smarter Elektronikhandboken, which is this part. And there are templates, there are explanations, and it's actually for the whole process. So it's from the design, taking into consideration also challenges for purchasers, project managers, production managers. So all steps of an electronic product from the start until it's delivered to the customer is covered within this handbook. So it's currently just in Swedish, but it's they started to translate it, and then the pandemic came. So I'm not sure about the current status, but that's kind of one way to find sort of unbiased information or neutral information based on industry experts. Moving into the NCAB webpage, we have a PCB specification, and we do have a number of videos and also different part of our specification, and also some kind of standard questions or part of the specification we use. And there's small colors to the right that you can see. Some parts are NCAB unique, where we are the only kind of one that does it that we know of. The red one says beyond IPC, so that's where you look at number 9. So in IPC, there's no specification of how thick the solder mask should be on the board. But in our specification, we have defined the thickness of the solder mask. And that's something that's for some customers really important, with the sort of benefits and risks associated with not having it. So and this is just 14 out of all the different points we have in our specification. NCAB never allows X-outs, for example. And if you don't know what X-outs is, that's all the PCBs are produced on panels. So you have a larger panel where you manufacture a number of PCBs. And say, for example, that you have 8 different boards on the same panel, and one of them is not working when the production tests it, then most companies within our business will allow the manufacturing or the factory to send out boards, panels with a crossed board. So one of the boards have a big X on it, which cannot be used. But NCAB never accept that, because from our view, if one of the boards on that panel is not 100%, then there's a big risk that the other ones also have the same flaw, or risk to have the same flaw. On the contrary, if you would have like 40 small PCBs on one panel, then it will be, we will probably also accept X outs after agreeing with the customer, because then the price will increase dramatically if you don't allow X outs, because the factory will need to scrap 39 good boards because one is bad. The standard is never accepting X outs, for example.
Right. So, so at what point in the design process do you think somebody should contact a manufacturing consultant?
Already from the start, I would say. The cost of a PCB is decided when you design it. When you're ready with your design, the purchaser or the EMS partner, they can only, of course, you can always tweak the price, but you only tweak it maybe a couple of %, because the technology is actually controlling the price. What material have you chosen? What type of build-up? What type of sizes, etc., etc. So when you are thinking of it, when you're in the starting end of your new product and designing your product, you should reach out to a PCB expert and ask for some assistance and say, okay, what do I need to think of? What technology? These are my thoughts. These are my base. NCAB we are not designing any boards, but we will give you the guides, give you some guidance in what to think of, and we will support you during the design part of the project. And we can also then assist you with the first prototypes, where you can test if your design is solid, if there's any issues. When we then transfer it into volume production from the prototypes, all the technical questions have been solved, all the hurdles sort of have been solved during the design. So yeah, pretty early in your, maybe you should have more than the ID. So you should probably have some sort of layout ready in your head, or at least something started, but then absolutely reach out.
And is this done on a consulting basis? Then?
This is actually made for free. We are hoping to win the project. So we are hoping that the better we are to support you during the design phase, and that we are enough competitive also when it's time for production, that we have the possibility to win the order. We can never sort of freeze any design, or we don't ever hold any, I mean, the customer always owns their design, so we are never protected in any way. Any customer that we help can take our guidance and then take their files to a competitor and place the order there. But
so anybody can contact you. Anybody can contact you anytime from any country in the world, right? And just get some guidance.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, we do have, yeah, we have 17 companies at this point, but more offices, because some countries have several offices. Mm-hmm. And we try to be as close to our customers as possible. And yeah, reach out, and in all fairness, there's probably a bigger chance of you to getting a quicker support if there's some sort of local connection to it. But yeah, we never say no. We will try to help anyone that contacts us.
Awesome.
Also, yeah. Also, when we host our webinars, those are open for everyone. There is continuous, ongoing webinars throughout the NCAB world. Many of them in English and other in local languages. I know we're hosting in Germany, US, UK, France, and we've done in Sweden, and Finland is doing in a couple of weeks as well. So, and those are open for anyone. So you just need to register on beforehand and take part of whatever the webinar topic is about.
Do people need to contact you to register, to get a registration link?
No, you will keep an eye out for, I believe, on our LinkedIn pages, especially, to see when there's a webinar. And then in the webinar invitation, you will have all the information you need.
Okay, great. Let's talk about some of the ways that somebody can improve their design. Let's just pick, I know that there's like many different ways, but if you were to pick the 3 most critical ways to improve a design, what would that be?
Wow, not being a technician really myself, with a technical background though, 3 most important, and make sure you have a specification that covers everything that's important for your product. Make sure to set the technology level in line with what you can sell. It might sound a bit strange, but we do see a lot of, for example, IPC level 3. That's the highest level of sort of quality control. And we are, in general in society, we want the highest quality. So if you specify IPC level 3 or class 3, actually, then you're gonna pay too much unless you're really building a spaceship or very critical component, because there's a lot of tests involved and a lot of documentation, just to bring the really highest quality level. Most products in the world doesn't need class 3. They're fine with class 2. So that's very common. Make sure to find the right technology level and the quality level. Class 2 is definitely high quality, and when you design your product, don't over specify with too advanced fancy technology. Make sure that the things you specify is really needed for your product, and use standard materials. That's the next thing. Use standard base materials in your build-up. Then you will have a solid design, which is a lot of different actors can manufacture with good quality, because it's not actually what's important for us is not that it should be cheap. We love to sell not cheap boards, but to ensure that you have the right quality and the quality you expect. So we want the factory that produces the board to be well within their capability when they produce it. So if a factory says that they can build 20 layer boards, but in their daily production, they're only building 10 layer boards, if you put a 20 layer board project there, it's a big risk involved. But if you know that you're within your limits or sort of what you need for your product, then we can really find the best fit in factory. You will get the high quality with 0 defects, you will have it on time, and the price will be competitive. So don't over specify, but specify all the important details.
Right. So that was number 1, right? Or did we cover more than one in that?
Yeah, maybe I covered a lot of them in one sort of.
Right. That's the most important things. So what are the design decisions that people make that result in costs that rise without being aware of it? Let's say they design a PCB and maybe they place holes in the pads, which do cost more to do it properly. What are some of the other things that you have seen that were mistakes on the part of the designer?
Well, mistakes, as you can say, a hole in the pad could be, it could be done, but it's probably, driving cost, and it's also not creating the effect you want on it. It could be, I mean, if you specify a very unique material because you've met with someone or been told that this is the best material to use in your buildup, like the pre-preg material between the layers, and that could be costly without giving you any advantage. There could be other materials that are equally good, but not as not the same price or availability. And it's not saying that you should only use the simplest standard, but within each material or build-up material supplier, they have a big variation within their products. So they have maybe 20 different part numbers to do the same thing. And if you're using a very unique one, because that's the one you heard of, then that could drive unnecessary cost and make that you have less availability. Not so many factories can do that, or there will be a long lead time because they don't have it in their warehouse. So using standard materials instead of unique materials is also a good thing to think of in your specification.
Yeah, people want to have the most shiny thing, so they pick something they've heard of without knowing what it is.
Exactly. You pick class 3 and you pick the fancy material from that specific supplier, which could be really great, but you could actually get the same thing using other materials. So maybe I should not say standard material, but more available material. It's maybe a better way to say it.
Right. Awesome. Do you guys do more in detail webinars where you go maybe more into the technical stuff?
Absolutely. Our open webinars are more on a high level. That's like 1 hour introduction or overview. But then we absolutely host more specific, but those are usually, I would say, customer specific, as customers are maybe not willing to share their detailed questions on a specific issue. If you're a known company and fighting with a specific issue, you need to reveal details about your designs that you don't want to share with others. Right. But we are also doing full DFM analysis. Also could be also a part of a customer specific seminar where we are looking into the actual designs we're working with, giving advice on how they could improve or change things in the design for next generation to make it more sustainable.
Okay.
And that can, of course, be arranged with your sort of normal contact. So reach out to your normal contact. We have technicians in all offices, so that are able to help you with your detailed questions. And if you are a bunch of people in the design department, then of course we can host a specific seminar or like a Zoom or similar with you and talking more specific.
Awesome. So is there anything else you want to add about NCAB group or any other information that can be useful? Maybe some resources that can be useful for PCB engineers that want to manufacture their boards?
Yeah, I mean, we try to be transparent. As I mentioned, we're not working with, we're not having our own factory. We're working with a number of factories, but we are always transparent with what factories we are using and why we're using them. So, I mean, we do have a China sales office, and there the local Chinese customers can choose to either, take the right door and there you have the factory, or take the left door and buy from that right door factory through NCAB, but with the extra quality control, lead time control, resources, support, etc. So the success of our Chinese sales company is actually one way of seeing that we could add value in all steps. And if you need to find more information, I would say that check out the webpage and then contact your local office or your nearest office and reach out to them. That's because there are a lot of tools. We have some of them online, and we can also support your design if you have specific questions.
Cool. Let's put this on LinkedIn, and we can and everybody can ask questions below the post. If they have any questions, I think that would be great, actually. So thank you for your time, Rikard, and hopefully we can have a more in detail webinar someday. But we have to pre-plan it, of course, a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you for hosting this morning.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.